And welcome back, everybody, to Southern Miss Sports Today with Coach Jay Hopson, presented by Bancorp South. Our preseason look at Golden Eagle football, just a couple of days away now for the Golden Eagles before they open up the 2016 season up at Commonwealth Stadium in Lexington, Kentucky against the Kentucky Wildcats. And Hop, great to have you back at Southern Miss. I know the month of August, a lot of football, a lot of teaching, a lot of battles for position, a lot of things going on. When you look back at all that preseason work, what sort of stands out to you?
Well, it's football is always a journey, you know, and it's the first practice from spring until now has been a constant, you know, learning progression as far as guys getting the system down, guys getting, you know, used to the way we do things. But I tell you, our players have really fought hard. They've embraced everything, and we've embraced, you know, so now we got to get ready for the first game. The reality has been a lot of work, a lot of sweat, and now you just got to build and get ready for this first game. That's what it's all about.
What are things that you use to gauge how successful a preseason, a two-a-days, all those workouts, how do you gauge if they're successful? Can you see, you know, progress on the field? Is it in the attitude? What are some of the things that work into whether or not you think you've done what you need to do?
You know, I think it all comes down to work and working hard, and I think our players have done that. You know, like every season, every game, you know, you got to go out there on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon and get it done. But our guys have worked hard. They worked hard this spring. I think they started off the off season working hard. I think they worked hard through spring. Summer, I thought they did a great job, and I think we worked hard in camp. You know, it's all about, but the hard work, you do that so, you know, you can be precise on Saturday. That's what it's all about, being in shape and being precise. And so hopefully, you know, that'll all that hard work and preparation will pay off. And we know it's a long journey. It's not just a one-game season. It's a 12-game season, and I always tell them we count our poker chips up at the end. You know, we don't count them up in the middle of the game. So you know, we got to just keep progressing. But I've seen a lot of great things. Just a fun bunch to coach.
As I've traveled around with you and been at events with you, the one word that I've heard you say, maybe more than any, is consistency. Teams got to be consistent. Fan base has got to be all over the board. If you're a part of Southern Miss football, it's all about being consistent.
Well, I think that's the key to winning as a football team. And I think, you know, we talk about our football environment as a whole. You know, we want to be consistent. As a football team, we want to be consistent because we got to win games. We want to win football games. As a program or as a fan base, we want to be consistent because we want to be that program that's a top, you know, 15, top 10 team in the country or program in the country. And that all comes down, there's a lot of things that make that, you know, that piece that puzzle together, if that's the best way I could probably put it. But if we have great attendance and we are successful on the football field, I think that's how our program continues to build. We all look back to the 70s when Florida State started their journey on their build back in the day. But I think it all goes hand in hand. You know, we got to put a good product out there, but also we got to have great support. And I think it's kind of a perfect marriage. And if both of those things happen, then you go to the top.
Later in the show, we're going to talk to you about the special teams, and we're going to visit later with Shannon Dawson about the offense, Tony Pecararo about the defense. But give us real quick your thoughts on offensively and defensively, what the fans can expect to see or hope that they'll see from the Golden Eagles.
Well, we want to be, again, we want to be a high-paced, high-scoring offense, but we want to be a physical offense. Defensively, you know, we talk about the nasty bunch. We talk about that tradition of physical football, and that's what we want to be. You know, we've got to go do that. And again, we got to be consistent in our work ethic and our preparation and in order to achieve that goal. But that's what we want to be, you know. We want to be aggressive on both sides of the ball and certainly aggressive on special teams.
I mentioned Shannon and Tony. You put together a great staff here at Southern Miss, some guys that were with you at Alcorn State, some other guys you knew from other places, but fun to be around, but guys that seem to fit what that Southern Miss mold is supposed to be like.
Yeah, they do, and you know, I'm blessed to have these guys with me on this journey. You know, I always say it's a we journey. It's It's players, coaches, all together, and that's why I talk about the we journey with the fan base and the alumni. It's a we journey. You know, I always say that Jay Hopson will never get it done by himself. It's impossible. I know at least I can't get it done, but I think it's a we journey, and we all got to pull together because we all want to see Southern Miss go to the top.
Jay's going to join us more on this show in just a little bit. When they come back, though, we're going to get some comments and visit with the new offensive coordinator for the Golden Eagles, Shannon Dawson. And Jay will come back later. We'll talk special teams and about the season opener in just a few days against the Kentucky Wildcats. So we'll be back more on Southern Miss Sports Today with Coach Jay Hopson right after this.
You're watching Southern Miss Sports Today with Jay Hopson. Brought to you by Bancorp South, right where you are. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling. The City of Hattiesburg, a proud sponsor of Southern Miss Athletics. UPS, visit ups.com/solvers to find out more.
Taste the feeling.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to Southern Miss Sports Today with Coach Jay Hopson, presented by Bancorp South. Time now to talk about the Golden Eagle offense, and we're joined by the offensive coordinator for the Golden Eagles, Shannon Dawson. And Shannon, first of all, welcome to Southern Miss. Talk about the month of August as you guys began your preparations for this season. How do you feel about the way the preseason workouts went?
I feel good. I mean, if you look at the way the summers are structured now, we have our hands on them a little more, and so it makes preseason camp a little easier because you've kind of hurdled all the communication. You've kind of got a little bit of that stuff out of the way, so you can focus more on football. And so, you know, having the spring under our belt, you know, and largely having a quarterback back like Nick, I mean, obviously that helps a tremendous amount. And so the way the summers are programmed and everything else, I mean, felt good going into it, and I feel like we got a lot out of it.
Yeah, you mentioned Nick Mullins, the quarterback. You know, that's when you come to a new school, there's a lot of getting to know each other from the player standpoint, the coaches. But I know I've heard you say, I mean, Nick's been in this system, and the system that you're going to run is very similar to what we've done the last few years. So Nick sort of fit right into what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I think it was important, you know, to Coach Hopson and myself to bridge that gap. And I mean, having Waz here off of last year's staff helped because, I mean, now we just bridged everything together. I mean, change is tough on players, you know. I mean, when you have consistency, typically that breeds better players. And so when you do have a change, the better bridge you can make that change, the better, especially when you got a senior quarterback like Nick. And so I feel like, you know, obviously the two offenses are very similar. Communication's a little bit different. And there were some things I did that obviously I wanted to do. There were some things that they were doing here that I felt great about. And so I think we married the two really well. And it was easy because the terminology and everything was the same. So I felt like it went smooth as possible.
In this era of spread offenses, you got to have obviously great wide receivers. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you also have to be able to run the football. And,
no doubt.
And you've got three guys back there in Ito Smith and George Payne and Tez Parks who all have played some football for Southern Miss. A lot of experience back there.
No doubt. I would say, I mean, 5-6 years ago, we made a philosophical change to be more physical and to run the football more. And so it makes football a lot easier when you can run the football. And so I think the running back position, in my opinion, is one of the most important ones on the field because you think about their job description, they got to block. I mean, they got to pick up linebackers running through the A-gap, so they got to know protections. They got to run the football. They got to catch the football. Basically, they're the X factor, you know. And so I feel like we have a few of them here that are that are special. Ito, obviously, for what we do offensively, is a perfect fit. So we definitely have guys there.
I mentioned the wide receivers, and you've got a good bunch out there.
Yep.
Some are experienced.
That's right.
Of course, the Eagles lost 2 good ones in Mike Thomas and Casey Martin, but it's a mixture of some new guys who are just going to get better the more they play, and then some guys who have been around like a DJ Thompson and guys like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way college football is. You can't keep people forever. You know, they can only play 4 years. And so I feel like we're talented at receiver for sure. You know, we just don't have a lot of experienced talent. You know, I mean, DJ's obviously caught a lot of balls in a lot of big games, but I feel like, you know, I don't know how relevant that is, to be honest with you, as far as the inexperience. I mean, obviously DJ's experience is going to be helpful. It's great. But I think those other guys are going to show up and play ball too. So I feel like the talent level there is good.
And we'll see this year, probably more so than previous years, some tight ends play for the Golden Eagles. But those guys are almost, they're not the old-fashioned tight ends. They're more hybrids, kind of half wide receiver, half tight end.
No doubt. I mean, for me, to play tight end, you have to be able to run down the field and catch balls. You know, that's like the #1 prereq. If you can't do that, in my opinion, you're limited, because now you put a guy in a game where they know exactly what you're going to do. And so to be able to put a guy in the game at that position and run every formation you have is important to me. And so, and I feel like we have a few guys that can do that. And so, I mean, being limited at that position hurts you. And so we're throwing everything, we're throwing the book at those guys and seeing what they can do. And I mean, all of them are athletic guys, so I mean, they have the capacity to do it.
Probably the hardest position to play is up on that offensive line, and the Eagles lost a couple of guys that have been around for a couple of years up there. So that's kind of a work in progress up there.
It is. I mean, you know, the positive, I mean, you got to look at the positives and everything, is our interior guys have a lot of football under their belt. And so, and we did lose a couple key guys there, but I feel like we have bodies to fill those roles. I mean, we got, I mean, young Ty, I mean, you know, I'd like for him to slip up a few times where I could mess with him a little bit, but he's extremely solid there. And so, I mean, I feel like we got guys that step in those roles. And I mean, you know as well as I do, when you're throwing the ball down the field, those bookends better show up.
A couple days from now, the Golden Eagles will be in Lexington, Kentucky to take on the Kentucky Wildcats. You spent last season there.
Yeah.
Give us a quick, what do you expect out of Kentucky? What do the Eagles have to do to be in position maybe to win that ball game?
Well, I mean, they're going to do multiple things on defense. We know that, and especially when we get third downs, when we get in the red zone, I mean, they're going to have a great plan. I mean, their whole deal, I mean, Coach Stoops, DJ, they do a great job defensively. They're going to put pressure on you. They're going to put pressure on the quarterback. They're going to come. They're going to dissect your protections. I know that. You know, the back end they're long, they're physical, they can run, and so there's no doubt that that we have a challenge. You know, but I mean, I think we're suited for it. I think, and so but there's no doubt that in those particular situations, I know they're going to bring heat. They're going to put pressure on us. The environment's going to be great. You know, those guys come to games. It's going to be a good environment. It should be fun.
All right, Shannon, thanks for visiting with us, and we'll see you at Kentucky.
Appreciate
Shannon
it.
Dawson, he's the offensive coordinator for the Golden Eagles. The Eagles open up the season in just a couple of days at the University of Kentucky. When we come back, we'll sit down with the defensive coordinator of the Golden Eagles, Tony Pecararo, visits with us right after this. Southern Miss Sports Today with Coach Jay Hopson continues right after this.
Thank you so much for this prestigious award. I'd like to thank my friends and family.
Hey, it's time for your homework.
Coming, Mama. SNC. I'd also like to thank my educators for all they've done with me. Without them, I couldn't do anything.
And the winner of the first place award for small cities is Hattiesburg, Mississippi for the Education Initiative.
What are you doing back there, Haley?
Feeling like a winner.
Sophie, his 13th birthday. Gift, we've got you. Guitar, coming tomorrow. Road game today, surprise party tomorrow. Change of plans. Game tomorrow.
No, birthday tomorrow.
Guitar, reroute.
Birthdays are on birthdays.
Party, relocate. UPS My Choice makes rerouting packages easy. How we're helping companies solve for the needs of customers like Sophie.
And welcome back, everybody, to Southern Miss Sports Today with Coach Jay Hopson, presented by our good friends at Bancorp South. Going to talk Golden Eagle defense now with a brand new defensive coordinator for the Golden Eagles, Tony Pecararo. And Tony, let's talk first about the preseason, what's been going on the last few weeks with the defensive football team. Just give us your thoughts on the preseason work.
You know, I thought they competed hard over camp. You know, we just kind of trying to clean up some stuff over spring, make sure schematically everybody understands what they got to do. We do, you know, a pretty multiple defense. So there's a lot of things that are adjusting that they got to make sure they know all the adjustments, and if this shows, we got to do this. If this happens, we got to do that. So there's a lot of little things that we got to clean up. Still, we're close though. We're really close. I'm excited what they did over fall camp.
It's a defense too. You got a number of guys back that have played a year or two at this level, and then some younger guys who may have redshirted. So it's kind of a neat combination of some veteran guys, but some new guys who are anxious to get in there.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, the good thing is there's a lot of veteran players here. And even though they might not have played as much as they wanted to, they've got experience. So I looked at it as a plus for sure. Talk
about the defensive front. Now there's a positions up there where you've got some flexibility. Guys can move around. You've got a lot of guys that can play some different positions up there. Who are some guys that maybe have stood out on that defensive front?
You know, Dylan Bradley always stands out. He's a very versatile guy. That's one thing I think is very plus for him in our defense, is he could play every spot on the defensive line. So somebody like that is definitely, you know, very valuable for your defense.
And at the linebacker spot, you got a couple of kind of veterans back. Elijah Parker's played a lot of football for the Golden Eagles. C.J. Perry's another guy that's been in there quite a bit.
Definitely. They've both done a great job for me. Very students of the game, which I love as a linebacker position. And, you know, Ruff has done a great job, too, in some of our packages as well.
Is the quarterback the linebacker of the defense? I mean, is the linebacker the quarterback of that defense?
That's what I tell them. I tell them all the time. I call them Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, because they got to get everybody lined up and you know, making all the checks and making sure everybody's on the same page. So they got to know what the opponent does and also what we do as a defense.
What about the secondary? Again, you got a mixture of some guys like a Denarius, Antoine, a Picasso, Nelson, Cornell Armstrong, some guys that have played some football back there. But you got some guys that are going to be out there, and their playing time probably is going to increase this year.
There's no doubt. You know, every guy that you mentioned there, I think has had a really good camp. I think Nettie has had a really good camp, though. He's really, I think, really figured out what we're trying to do defensively, and he's done a great job.
Tony, how has defense changed in the time you've been in it now with the spread offenses and all those kinds of things? A lot of change. I mean, guys that used to be defensive backs are now linebackers. Guys that used to be linebackers play up there in the defensive front. How has it changed when you look at it?
You know, the spread game is designed to put athletes in space. So, you know, you don't have your traditional 250-pound Mike linebacker anymore, because if you do, he's just going to get ate up. So, kind of like you said, now you're just kind of moving athletes around and trying to put them in, you know, spots where they can be successful.
I know Coach Hop, of course, he was here back in the early 2000s coordinating this defense, and I know he's probably wanted you, and it's probably your style anyway, to bring back sort of that nasty bunch defense philosophy, chip on your shoulder, go out there and play hard and make plays.
You know, I think that's one thing that's great about being a part of this, is that, you know, you're known for great defense, and you know, being around Coach Hop, who actually lived that. You know, so I'm excited, especially as a defense coordinator, to be a part of that. I'm very proud to be a part of that, and hopefully we can get that thing rolling in the right direction.
Always exciting. Open up on the road, open up at Kentucky. That should be a lot of fun here in a couple days.
Should be a great environment. No problem getting up for it. No problem with the challenge. And kind of like you said before, hold that chip on your shoulder.
Hey, Tony, appreciate it. Excited to have you here at Southern Miss and a part of the Golden Eagle family. I know it's going to be a great year for the Golden Eagles, so best of luck on the defensive side of the football, and we'll visit with you throughout the year.
Appreciate it.
All right, Tony Pecararo, he's the defensive coordinator for the Golden Eagles, brand new to Coach Jay Hopson's staff here at Southern Miss. He was with Jay up at Alcorn State, but great to have Tony here as a part of the Golden Eagle coaching staff. When we come back, Coach Hopson joins us again. We'll talk about the special teams and about the season opener against the Kentucky Wildcats. Back with more on Southern Miss Sports Today with Coach Jay Hopson.
Do you read warning labels? They're there for a reason. Your reflexes slow down. Your vision is blurred. Read the warning labels. Don't get behind the wheel if you've been drinking or taking meds that could cause impaired driving. You could end up in jail, ruin your life, the lives of others, or worse. Drive sober or get pulled over. A message from the Mississippi Department of Public Safety and Office of Highway Safety.
I think it was overwhelming. It was more than I thought it would be, and in some ways that's good, and in other ways it was bad. The induction itself, which is really what people go for, whether it's family members or just fans in general, they go to hear their guy speak, was really special because you kind of get to hear some things maybe you didn't know from fellow inductees, and I have to admit there was a tremendous amount of anxiety, and I don't know if it was fear. I wanted to get it right. You only have one opportunity. They don't say come back next year and do over. And so you want to kind of, and they also give you, do it in 8 to 20 minutes, which I went over that. But I mean, 20 years is a long time. So you want to kind of get everything in a short amount of time and hit a home run. And that's a lot of pressure. So after it was over, I felt like maybe I didn't hit a home run, but I hit one off the wall, but I was pleased that it was over and that I did it justice. I met a lot of guys at the induction a few weeks ago, and one in particular I'd already met before. Actually, this guy I had not met before. I'd seen him before, but I hadn't met him, and that was Mean Joe Green. And he still looks great, but he came up to me after the induction and he was like, man, that was a really great speech, and just, really wanted to come over and tell you, you're Mean Joe Green. He's like, I'm Joe Green. And he was the nicest guy. And I thought, he's not Mean Joe Green. But he wanted to meet me, and the other guy who I had met before, but talked to again, was Ed Too Tall Jones, who, again, I was a huge Cowboys fan. I knew every player. I knew everything about him.
And we're back, Southern Miss Sports Today with Coach Jay Hopson, presented by Bank Corp South. Enjoyed sitting down just a few moments ago with Shannon Dawson and Tony Pecararo. They're both excited, as you can see, about what the offense and defense have the chance to do this year for the Golden Eagles. But Hop, one area we have not talked about is special teams, and that's as important as the offense or the defense on a football team. So give us your thoughts on, one, how the Golden Eagles, you want them to play on special teams, and two, how you feel about special teams coming out of the preseason work.
Well, special teams is probably our most important phase, and that's something I talk about, and I believe that. A lot of coaches give it lip service, but I think our players understand that I do believe that. And let's face it, our tradition has been built on a lot of great special teams play over the years. And, no play in the game changes the field more than a special teams play does. So, I've been very pleased. John Wozniak's our special teams coordinator and doing a great job there. We've got a fun little battle in our kicking game. Brock is kicking the ball well. Parker is kicking the ball well. So, it'll be fun to watch. Those are guys that deserve an opportunity. Cody Block is snapping well. And again, we might even have a little competition in the long snapping battle, but Cody is certainly the #1 right now. I feel like our return game I'm excited about that. Guys like Alan Zay, Denarius, T-Man, they're all catching the ball well, returning the ball well, and we know for us to be successful, and there's not a team in the history of football that has not been a championship caliber football team that was not great on special teams. So we know it's going to be imperative to our success, and it's a phase that, again, I like to say, and I believe it to the core of my heart, it's the most important phase. And the offense and the defense get all the hoopla and the talk, but the special teams phase of the game is really where the game's won and lost.
Troy, I was thinking as you were talking about that, how many times we've been out, you and I have been out in that rock, and it's been a special teams play that has turned a ball game around. So whether you're at home or the road, it just takes sometimes just that one special teams play, a block kick, a return, a long field, something that can change the whole thing around.
No question. We talk a lot of times about that TCU game back in 03. I remember a couple big punt returns, really swinging the game and swinging the field in our favor. There's certainly in every game, the special teams is going to be one of the key factors in the outcome of the ball game. So we've got to be great on that phase, and again, our guys have been working hard there, so I'm looking forward to us playing this Saturday and putting all that hard work into execution.
We're going to talk about Kentucky in a minute, but I need to ask you about, we're sitting in the brand new locker room, and next week on the show we're going to have let folks see a little bit more of this and hear from Athletic Director Bill McGillis. But beautiful locker room. I know it's got the guys all excited.
It does. They're excited, and the thing I love about it, Coxie, is it kind of represents who we are as a football program and tradition. You have the championship wall. You got the quotes. That Southern Miss fights harder, and you got the Nasty Bunch wall. You got Brett and the Hall of Fame wall. You got the BCS wall. So I mean, there's just it's a great showpiece for recruits, for alumni. When you come in, and our players, when you come into this locker room, you get a feel of who we are and what our tradition's all about.
All right, let's talk about the first game. Kentucky is coming up in just a couple of days, Commonwealth Stadium, Lexington, Kentucky, just the third time the Golden Eagles and the Wildcats have ever played. Give us just a quick scouting report on Kentucky and what you expect on Saturday.
Well, Kentucky's an excellent football team. I mean, they're a football team that last year was a game away from a bowl game in the SEC, played a lot of games close. As you know, Shannon Dawson's now our offensive coordinator here, and he was a part of that program last year. But, when we talk about playing Power 5 conference teams or SEC conference teams, we know we're going to be playing an outstanding football team. And, it's certainly a game that everybody's excited about. We're excited about. Southern Miss, we have that tradition of playing these games, but again, they have our utmost respect. Well-coached football team, very talented football team. So we know we have our plate full, Coxie, but certainly a good measuring stick for us coming out of the gate.
All right, well, great to have you back at Southern Miss. Looking forward to starting the season on Saturday, and best of luck there, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Coxie.
All right, Coach Jay Hopson and the Golden Eagles at Kentucky on the Saturday night season opener for the Golden Eagles here in 2016. Don't forget about our weekly radio show, the Golden Eagle Hotline. We've got a new time and a new site. We're going to be at Georgia Blue here in Hattiesburg. The time of the show, 6 to 7 o'clock Central Time, so hope to see you there. Come on out with us and talk a little Golden Eagle football. That'll do it this week. Have a great week, everybody. See you next time. Another inside look into Southern Miss football.